Well, hello, y'all. Welcome to the call. So in our Joy Within group, we do a monthly Q&A. And so I'm going to kick off with we only had a couple of questions that I'm going to answer, and then I'm going to jump right into essential oils for labor. We're going to talk about early active transition and immediate postpartum. And this is going to be really great if you have never used essential oils or used essential oils maybe at all, or for labor. So I can tell you exactly the ones that I go to and bring with me to births that I believe are absolutely essential. But the first question that we had in Joy Within Birth was really about optimal fetal positioning. So it was someone who, and I know her because I'm her doula, and her baby has now since turned. But for anyone who has a baby who is maybe transverse or oblique or breech, let's chat about that for a minute. So I want to say too, it's perfectly normal for babies to be in malposition before like 32 weeks. There's so much room and fluid, and they kind of just can move all over and in different directions. And so never be like stressed because your body responds to stress or fearful or worried. There's so much time and so many practical things we can do to help move baby into optimal fetal positioning. Um, and even up until later in pregnancy, I have actually seen babies move in the middle of labor. And so there's certain things we can do to encourage movement. And if for some reason a baby, let's say, is breech and is not moving, no matter what you do, there might be a reason for it. And that trust factor has to come in that maybe there's a cord issue or a reason the baby's breech. I know that there are things that, like an external version that a medical professional can do to physically make the baby move position. But that is a little bit higher risk. And so, as far as let's say 32 weeks and beyond, the very best thing you can do, and this is really throughout your whole pregnancy for optimal fetal positioning, is walking, because that's going to help the baby naturally gravitate head down as you're working with gravity. And curb walking, if you've ever done that, where you're walking with one leg up on a curb, one foot on a curb, and then you switch sides, is going to help rotate your hips and open the pelvis, so that baby can get a little bit more room. But I want to show you guys. So for those of you, because I know we have like live people who are a part of Joy Within Birth, I want to show you what's available in case you don't know where this is. So I'm just going to screen share real quick. Can you see that, Priscilla? My slides.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So right now I'm just logged into Joy Within Birth. So for those of you who don't know what this is my online digital community and classroom. This is everything I teach all in one place. And so we're going to scroll over to Holistic Pregnancy, which is module 2, and click this. So you can see there's all sorts of little videos in here. This is also about natural remedies in pregnancy. I've literally listed a natural remedy for just about everything you can think of. I go into prenatal testing here, things that are offered to you, optional, healthier options that you can choose. But then as I go down into additional resources, you can see there's a GBS protocol, there's daily habits to do in pregnancy, exercise videos. But I'm going to scroll down to third trimester, because third trimester is what we're talking about when I'm answering this specific question about optimal fetal positioning. So you can see right away, the first thing I mentioned is walking. Maternal positioning. All of these there's details on exactly how to do everything in like the first trimester video. That's where I break those down. But as we're getting into third trimester, which is really when you're focusing on, okay, baby's getting bigger, gravity, head's getting heavier, let's help this baby get head down. The first blue one there is forward leaning inversion. This is straight from Spinning Baby's website, and it's not even recommended until after 32 weeks. And so nothing you need to do now, but this is an incredible exercise for pulling baby out of the current position they're in. So, because you're really giving anti-gravity, you're basically, I like to do elbows on the ground and then knees up on like the bed or the couch, depending on how high it is. You do that for like 30 to 45 seconds. You don't want to get dizzy. It's a lot of blood flow. And then gently stand back up and then go for a little walk after that. And that helps pull baby out of the pelvis in whatever wonky position they're in. And then as you walk, helping them assume the correct position. Because it's blue, that's a video. So you can click that and you can watch exactly how to do it. As we scroll down here, dynamic motion, that's basically good posture. It's much easier to do that if you're sitting in a ball, on a ball, like an exercise ball. But if you're sitting for long periods of time, maybe you have a desk job or you're in the car a lot, think about like propping up your lower back with a pillow so that it's forcing you to have good posture. Believe it or not, this is one of the best things you can do for optimal fetal positioning because baby's always going to assume where the position where there is the most room. So if you're always leaning back and your back is somewhat like a hammock, baby's back is going to assume that position along your back. And you don't want that, right? You don't want posterior baby. That's where their back is along your back. That sometimes delays labor. That can also make for a longer labor. And of course, nobody wants back labor. And so, optimal fetal positioning requires good posture, creating the hammock in your front section in your belly so that the back comes along your belly and now they're face down. Okay. Scrolling down to the next blue one there, the jiggle. I like to call this shaking the apples. Again, it's blue because there's a video there. I know we've talked about this a lot, but this is an excellent one to do really at any point in pregnancy, but definitely third trimester and definitely when you're trying to move baby off of your back. But this is going to relax the round ligaments and the fascia that allows for your muscles to soften and open and to create more room. I'm not going to click this now because this is a longer call, but I want to point you in this direction so that you can go click that blue link right there and watch the video. This is something I recommend, especially 36 weeks on. If anyone listened to my last month's call, I talked about how to prepare your body for labor from 36 weeks on. I recommend this every single night before bed, every single morning. Anytime you have nerve sciatic stuff going on, uncomfortable radiating pain in your hips or your pelvis, the jiggle is amazing for relaxing all of those round ligaments and those muscles. But you're basically taking a sheet or a rebozo, just something really thin. You're on hands and knees, and then your partner is coming alongside your back and very gently rocking those hips back and forth. It's really relaxing. It feels so good. But for sure that the next one you'll see here, 6, is rebozo sifting. Definitely watch that video so you can better understand that. But same thing, you're taking the rebozo or the thin sheet and you're going along the uterus, along the belly, and you're on hands and knees, and partners got their knees kind of holding your hips in position, taking that rebozo up. It's so nice. It's like a bra for your belly, just lifting all the pressure off and gently rocking belly side to side. Side lying release is the last one here, number 7. Again, I want you to click on that so you can see exactly what that looks like. All of these requires a little bit of assistance though, so you can't really do side lying release properly by yourself. But imagine you're on the very edge of your couch or the very edge of your bed, your left side lying, and you're letting your right hip hang all the way over, almost to the point where your toes are touching the floor. And so you're releasing all tension. You're not holding yourself up. This is why a partner is essential. So you're not like falling off the bed. And you're just holding that position for like 45 seconds to a minute, and then you can switch sides. These are also things I do in labor for people if they're having any back pain or back labor issues, or we're helping baby just get into a better position, or for some reason maybe labor slowing down and it's positional related. These are all things that you can utilize in labor. So it's good to practice them and learn them now. But of course, you want to enter into labor with baby in the best position so that it's smooth and productive and quick. So that is where you can find all of that. Other things I do specifically for breech, we are going to get into oils, but one of the things that I've done personally, so my babies have always been breech around 32 weeks as well. And it starts to get uncomfortable. And so that's around the time where I'm like, okay, let's be a little bit more proactive. So in addition to these exercises, what I personally have done is I get into the bath and I only do warm water up to the belly button. So I'm making sure the top half of my belly is out of water. Baby naturally is going to gravitate to the warmth. And so just that alone, you're sitting in your bath, preferably not reclining, more like a sit up. And warm waters below the belly button, and then I take a drop of peppermint oil and I do it like right here at the base, like under my rib cage, one drop, and then I just take it and I make like a rainbow shape. And again, the idea here is baby is going to swim away from the cold peppermint and down into the warm water. And I visualize while I'm doing this that the baby is turning. I'm envisioning their head going head down. And let me tell you, it works like a charm. I do this on people all the time for breech and see movement right away. It's really amazing. It's not going to hurt the baby. It's not going to hurt anything. So I drop a belly button for breech, or sorry, a drop of peppermint above the belly button for breech, combined with the warm water. Somebody asked, the next question was tips for natural pain management. She was feeling like her ribs were maybe bruised from the baby's position and it's making sleep more difficult. So, in addition to the exercises, I would recommend seeing like a Webster certified chiropractor in pregnancy, which is also going to help move baby because it's going to open your pelvis and it's going to release hopefully tension in those muscles that are maybe holding baby from getting into the right position. There's a wonderful homeopathic called Arnica. I took a homeopathic class last night. It was so thorough. I will definitely post the recording to that in Joy Within Birth, but I'll also share for those of you not in Joy Within Birth, just catching this recording. I'll also share that recording on my Instagram. It was so thorough. It was everything, like a homeopathic for everything that you can think of, from nausea and vomiting to hemorrhage to retain placenta, onset of fear. I mean, you name it. There was a homeopathic for everything: birth trauma, unprocessed emotions, nipple pain. I mean, she went through pregnancy, labor, and postpartum. But she mentioned arnica several times for pain, radiating pain. Not that arnica is not good for like nipple pain. That's a different one called phytolacca. But for hips, for pelvis pain, for bruising, for inflammation, arnica. And so here's what we know about homeopathics. Homeopathics are a great, gentle option. If it doesn't work, it just means you chose the wrong one, but it is not going to cause any problems. It's not going to cause any issues. So you really can't mess it up. But homeopathics do require consistency. So you take a dose, so whether that's one 30C capsule maybe, or two or three, however much you're doing. And you want to do that every 3 to 4 hours until that symptom is gone. And so love homeopathics, love arnica for pain and inflammation. As soon as I give birth, as soon as I can think of it, I take my first dose, 3 to 4 pellets of arnica, and I do that for the entire first week. I didn't even realize with my first how much of my pain it was really managing until I ran out of the arnica and all of the aches and pains, and I could feel everything post birth, like my core. And I was like, oh my gosh, the arnica was working so good. So, but the thing is you have to like set an alarm and a timer in every 3 to 4 hours. Make sure that you take that next dose. Um, Also, there's an essential oil called copaiba from Young Living. It's again very gentle. I even use this on my kids' teething. I put it straight on their cheekbones and their gums. But this is one that is really great for inflammation. And so we put this in capsules. We put this in the bath with Epsom salts, just a few drops. And that's another great way to just alleviate some of those common pregnancy discomforts. All right, so I'm going to jump into the next question because I'm actually going to be teaching for you guys that are not in Joy Within Birth, or for those of you that are here. I don't know if I've done a formal training on really how to use oils for labor, and I want to get into really the nitty gritty of how I, as a birth worker, have come to use them. Let me just fix my screen share real quick, and so that way you know exactly which ones to use and how to use them. And let me just make sure. Hmm. Can you see this, Priscilla? Can you see my slides?
I see you. That's it right now.
Just that? Okay. All right, let's see.
I'm gonna say hi, Donald. Say hi. Hi.
Hi, buddy.
You'll meet her tomorrow. Me
So
and
excited.
Sincerely.
We got a doula appointment tomorrow. Okay, let's see if this will work.
Okay, I see it now.
Okay, good. Let me get into present mode. No, every time I go to share it, it says your screen has stopped. Okay, hopefully that works.
Yep, I can see it. First
Perfect.
slide.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, I'm going to give a little bit of intro, but obviously this I'm going to keep that real brief because this is for you, and I want to give you all my time. But I am Haley Aliff. Hi, nice to meet you. I am a mom to four littles. I am a second generation birth worker. My mom was a lay midwife in the 70s, and my aunt was as well. She actually trained under Ina May Gaskin. I've got like a bloodline of birth work, and this is absolutely my calling and what I know the message God has given me to give to women for our generation and even for future generations, that his design of birth is perfect. And if we could just cancel the noise of society and tap into that, it's a really incredible design if we just kind of get out the way of it. I love teaching, obviously, my childbirth ed stuff, but I also love teaching about essential oils because I believe essential oils are also a gift given to us from God, straight from plants, of course. Not all oils are created equal. We'll talk about that. Um, some of them are very messed with, some of them are dangerous, some of them are cheaply made. And so when you get pure oils, which is nothing but plant essence, they are a wonderful tool for us to use for our well-being, our physical and emotional well-being. But my birth work and my oils have always gone hand in hand. At the time, I was raised very holistically. I was born at home, if that gives you a picture. And so I was really familiar with homeopathy and herbs, but when it came to essential oils, I really only knew of a couple. So it was when I was starting my journey of using essential oils for pregnancy and labor and birth was also the time I was launching my doula business, my Joy Within Birth business. And I had graduated midwifery school in 2011, and I started using Young Living oils in 2012. And so they've really gone hand in hand so beautifully for over a decade. That's so weird. I had other pictures on here, but um, so it's just a little bit of my story. I love teaching about oils because they are my best and most favorite labor companion. I will never go to a birth without them. They are game changers. Even this birth I was at just this past week, that was a rapid labor. I was there a total of 12 minutes. I still grabbed for three different oils during those 12 minutes, believe it or not. I'll share those with you. Um, but I think that it's such a crucial point to in women's lives when they're pregnant to talk about natural remedies because when you're pregnant and maybe it's your first or maybe it's your first time where you're really wanting to do things different than the last time, but I find that pregnant moms are really paying attention to health and wellness more than ever now that they're expecting, right? They're looking for more natural solutions for their physical and emotional well-being. I know I always consider myself the healthiest version of myself when I'm pregnant because I'm making decisions for somebody else and I'm making sure that I get that protein. I'm making sure that I get that fiber. I'm making sure that I get the essential vitamins and the minerals that I need. Because if I don't, not only is it a detriment to my growing baby, but it doesn't make I feel bad, right? I think a lot of times in pregnancy, people have given pregnancy a bad rep. Oh, it's so horrible, it's so miserable, it's so uncomfortable. Most likely because your body is not getting what it needs. But hopefully you're here because you care and you want to take a deeper look. And so I do find that pregnant moms more than ever are aware of the toxins around them and they're looking for non-toxic, safe alternatives for themselves and for their growing family. And so this is the perfect time to really step into, get a foot into that holistic living window because the things you're going to learn now in your pregnancy and hopefully going into your labor are going to serve you for parenthood and mothering and how you can raise your children maybe a different way that you were raised. So the harsh truth is that as pregnant moms, we are the test subject. There are so many things that are labeled safe for pregnancy, over the counters, drugs and medications that later get recalled. They find, oh, that caused XYZ problem. Well, we don't know what they caused because you're the test subject. And so once we've had a drug on the market for about 10 years, after that mark, we're like, oh, okay, don't use that anymore. That caused this problem. You can go through a whole history of pregnancy things over the last 100 years where they prescribe something later to take it away and say, oh, it caused birth defects. Oh, it caused preterm labor. There was a study of, sorry, five different studies. No, I'm sorry. Let me look at my notes. Over the last 5 years. It was a review of scientific literature from around the world. It was studies basically collectively that examined 30,000 samples of umbilical cords. And what they found were that toxic PFA chemicals were detected in every single umbilical cord. There was not one single one that didn't have that in there. These PFAs are linked to the fetal PFAs, right, in our babies, are linked to health complications, but not just for the unborn babies, but also they're linked to health complications for children later in life and even later into adulthood. The studies were disturbing, honestly. Before you've even come to the world, you've been exposed to PFA. So if you don't know what PFAs are, it's a weird word. Polyfluoroalkyl substances. It's basically a class of about 12,000 chemicals that are commonly used to make our products like do things like resist water or resist stains, heat resistance. And so they're called forever chemicals because they are not naturally broken down in the body and they just accumulate in the human body and in the environment over time. The federal government estimates that they're found in 98% of Americans' blood, and the chemicals are linked to things like birth defects, cancer, kidney disease, liver problems, and other health issues. These things are even found in our water. And so this is a time now to really question the things that we're putting in and on our body, question the products that we're using in our home, and also look for the alternatives. And that's really where essential oils come in. And I know this call is not on pregnancy. I need to do that as a separate class. This is specifically labor, but still, it's so wonderful to know that we have healthy alternatives, safe alternatives for labor when we could be using other things that are prescribed in the hospital for things that I'll mention. Um, Okay, so why I chose Young Living, this is going to be short because I again could do a whole class on this. Of course, this is my beloved company that I've used personally since 2012. But Young Living really only uses the best ingredients. It's a health conscious company, an environmentally responsible company. Young Living products, if you go to their website, they have a promise that they will never have products that contain things like formaldehyde, artificial dyes, petroleum, mineral oil, sulfates, or parabens. I trust this company because it's over 30 years of industry leadership and integrity. I trust this company because they have over 25 farms, seed to seal farms all over the world. I've been to at least 9 of them myself where I can actually see and take part in the products being made. I've been a part of the harvesting of the plants and the distillation process. I've seen it with my own eyes. So they use virgin soil that's never had herbicides or pesticides. That's why a lot of Young Living's farms are in very remote places because they're going to places that have never been a farmland before. But they are into restorative farming and so making that community better. And one of their goals is to have these plants and these trees around for generations. And so, as much as they're distilling and harvesting, they're also planting, making sure these things never go away. But I think the most telling thing and why I will always trust this company for things like vulnerable times in our life, like pregnancy and birth and babies, is because we know that Young Living does industry-led testing done in triplicate. So every single oil that arrives at my doorstep has gone through 3 different testing phases with over 20 different tests, both in-house and third party. The testing is crucial. I don't know if you know this, but like the FDA does not regulate the essential oil industry or the supplement industry. So you can literally go to, Whole Foods even and see, let's say, vitamin Ds. And there's going to be a range of quality of these vitamin Ds. And you can't just look at a label and be like, that looks clean, that looks good. You really need to. We're living in a day and age where we have to know the company's operating standards and how they run everything. And that's where I'm at. I'm at a point where I'm like, I trust this company, and this company. I can no longer just go and look at a label and be like, oh, that looks good, because we know that there's no regulation for that. And that's how oils work too. You've probably seen essential oils at Walgreens and Walmart, and those are not what I'm talking about. And so I can't just jump into like a oils for labor class and good conscience, just tell you what to go grab because I'm a little bit fearful that you're going to go to Walmart and grab lavender oil and have some crazy reaction because I didn't do my due diligence and teach you that not all oils are made equal. Quality matters. I love that Young Living only uses steam distillation. That means it's just water to extract the oil, the plant essence out of it. There is no chemical involved, no solvents involved in that process at all. So if you're like brand new to oils, I'll make this really, really brief, but essential oils are basically, I like to call them the lifeblood of the plant or the essence of the plant. Again, Young Living uses only steam distillation to draw this out of the plant, but they're very volatile substances. They're tiny, tiny molecules. They're lipid soluble, so they get into the bloodstream incredibly fast, almost immediately. But they also, if they're pure, should leave the bloodstream immediately. And so that's why we use them a lot. They're not going to get stored in the liver, like medications do, or like synthetic oils do. They're not going to cause any toxicity issues, but they get into the bloodstream very quickly. And so we use them for fast acting things that we need, like in labor. There's times where I need something and I need it right now. And so I'm going to use an essential oil for that. Very different from herbs, if you're familiar with using like tinctures or things like that, where they can take a little bit longer. We use essential oils because they're a natural alternative for so many things. If you were to come into my home, you wouldn't see any pharma, you wouldn't see any Western medicine, not because I'm anti it, but because essential oils and homeopathy and herbs have done such a great job as our first line of defense that we rarely need anything else. And I love that they're safe and effective for all ages. Of course, there's definitely oils that require dilution, meaning like an olive oil or some sort of fatty oil, because maybe that oil is very strong and strong on the skin. But I've anointed my babies immediately after birth. I've done raindrop therapies on my kids when they're not feeling well. I've used them on my pets, on my dogs. So many diverse uses. They deal with the roots. It's not a band-aid product. It's not just to feel good. It's to actually bring homeostasis and balance onto that molecular cellular level. But my most favorite thing and why I use oils for labor is because they don't just affect the body, they actually affect the mind. And this is fascinating to me. There is an incredible mind-body connection. It's the way that God made us. And if you are a Joy Within Birth student, you know this. I have a whole entire module called Nourish Your Mind, where I give examples and we walk through how the mind and the body are so connected. If a mom is scared in labor, her uterus is not going to be productive. Her cervix is going to clamp and be tight. If a mom is feeling safe and connected and she's got oxytocin flowing, her labor process is going to be a lot smoother. Her pain levels are going to decrease. Her body and her cervix is going to open more smoothly and effectively. There is an incredible mind-body association. And so this is where essential oils come in. And this is why they're my favorite tool and why I want you to utilize them in your labor, because inhalation is basically a direct line to your limbic system, which is the emotional part of your brain. So I'll just get a tiny bit of science here because I want you to understand how and why this works. This is not wookie, right? We're not just smelling joy oil and like, oh, I have joy. What is happening on the biochemical level of our brain? So you have four senses that are linked to your intellectual brain. You have one sense that is wired to your emotional brain. That's your sense of smell. The sense of smell is one of the only five senses directly linked, the only one of your five, directly linked to the limbic lobe of your brain, which is the emotional control center. So, this is why smelling a fragrance can evoke memories and emotions even before you're consciously aware of it. Like you're not thinking of your grandma, but you smell that scent, and all of a sudden you have this memory that's flooded to your mind of being in your grandma's house. So, there's an incredible emotional connection, memory connection. The limbic lobe is not just for memory though. It controls so many other things in our body. Things like it controlling your body temperature, hunger, thirst, fatigue, sleep, hormone balance. Because the limbic lobe also directly activates the hypothalamus. You can actually go to pubmed.gov, which is like third-party government-funded websites, and type in frankincense oil, and you'll see that there's studies on like brain mapping. What happens when an essential oil is inhaled? How on earth? I literally just read this of a case study where people were smelling frankincense and it was affecting their blood sugar and affecting weight loss. Smelling it. How wild is that? So, why do essential oils affect our mood? It's because when you inhale them, they go up through your nose into your olfactory system and they trigger the release of serotonin and endorphins and dopamine. Remember, these are like good, feel good hormones, chemicals in your brain. And then it goes right into your amygdala where the seat of your emotions are. So it's the only place in your body that's entirely open to the central nervous system. So smell, more than any sense, can affect your brain and your body because of that. So simply inhaling and diffusing essential oils in your labor can change the mood of the room, not just for you, but for everybody in there. I've seen this directly firsthand when I first started using Young Living and bringing them to births at the hospital. I was not selling, I was not trying to do a business. I was just wanting to use them for my client. And before I knew it, by the time I was leaving the hospital after the birth, I had nurses, sometimes doctors, other people saying, "What is that? I need that." When you diffuse that, I instantly felt grounded and calm. And I was like, okay, here's my number. I guess I'm doing this thing. So essential oils, through their unique molecular structure, directly stimulates the limbic lobe and the hypothalamus. It can be used to combat stress, emotional trauma, but it can also stimulate the production of hormones, right? Which we're going to talk about that for uterine contractions and things like that. But just know that essential oils have a profound physiological and psychological effect. It's pretty phenomenal. Again, I'm not going into pregnancy examples right now, although that is a phenomenal class. Maybe I'll do that one next. I want to read this quote, though. This is from this book called Clinical Aromatherapy, Essential Oils in Practice. This is Jane Buckle. She's a PhD RN. She said there are no records of abnormal fetuses or aborted fetuses due to the normal use of essential oils, either by inhalation or topical application. There are no records of a few drops of essential oils taken by mouth causing any problems either. I think it's important because people are actually scared to use essential oils in pregnancy and labor. And when we're talking about, I literally just was last week talking to this girl who really sad story, but she thankfully just had like a beautiful rainbow baby experience. But her previous pregnancy, she was struggling with hyperemesis gravidarum, which is where you vomit your whole pregnancy pretty much. She was prescribed Zofran. Her baby had so many complications and effects from it that she ended up passing the baby and losing the baby. And so when it came to this next pregnancy, she was like, I am so scared of drugs, even the ones that are safe and prescribed for pregnancy, that I don't care if I throw up the whole time. I'm not taking anything. Now, we have safe options for hyperemesis. We have things that can help the hormone, mineral, nausea level. But you know what's crazy? What changed it for her? A daily walk. Literally, all she needed to do was support her digestion, which is what was causing all the reflux and the throwing up. A daily walk. She said, I felt like I was on my deathbed. Walking felt impossible. I was like bedridden, but I made myself do it by 2 days postpart or 2 days into it. I was 50% better. By 4 days into it, I was 90% better. And so I don't want you to be scared of using essential oils. I want you to know that when you have Young Living pure essential oils, as a birth worker for 13 plus years, I have only seen good come from using these things. Oops, wrong way. Okay, let's get into this. So early labor. So depending on, oh, and by the way, these slides are very vague. So you're gonna have to like take some notes here, but I wanted to show you pictures of real life. Like this is me as a doula using oils on a mom in labor. I want you to see the different ways throughout these pictures of what I'm doing here, so you can see what it looks like. So early labor, depending on the time of day your early labor begins, you may want to encourage rest and sleep, right? So if early labor is starting at night, you might be grabbing for oils that help you go to bed, help you calm, or you may want to get your body moving if early labor is starting off in a magical unicorn world in the daytime, in the morning time, right? But either way, the name of the game in early labor, I want you to write this down, is grounding. That is the goal of early labor because you want to ground yourself, calm yourself. That way, you can increase oxytocin and decrease adrenaline. All of that is going to make for smooth, productive labor pattern and get us into active labor quicker. If you're using oils for calming, they are not going to stop your labor. They're not going to slow your labor down. Okay. This is just the emotional effect it's going to have. When you're calmer, labor actually progresses, right? So, my go tos for early labor are, you can write these down: stress away, hope, grounding, that's an oil, frankincense, build your dream, and then depending if it's nighttime, peace and calming, tranquil, and I love citrus fresh too. All of these, and you don't need all of them, you can just pick and choose one, maybe two. All of these are going to have that grounding effect on your emotions and on your mind. You can diffuse them. You can put them in an Epsom salt bath with a couple drops. Always Epsom salts. You never want to put oils straight into water because they're just going to sit at the top. You want it to disperse and When they do sit at the top, sometimes they're a little bit itchy. So Epsom salts. You can also just do a foot soak this way. You can also just do something like this. I call this a scent tin. I've got a lang right here. This is an active labor one. We'll talk about this one next. Just like a drop or two in your hand. I activate the molecules. I rub my hand like clockwise a few times. And then I do a scent tent. So make like a little cup over your nose and your mouth and take some deep inhalations. This is going to have a direct effect on your nervous system. And you are going to feel it, not just physically, but emotionally, the grounding aspects of it. Active labor. The name of the game in this phase of labor is productivity, right? We don't want to be in active labor for 24 hours. We want it to be smooth and productive and fast. We want to work with our contractions and continue on in a productive labor pattern with strong, productive uterine contractions. So, of course, in active labor, you're going to want to utilize things like deep breathing. Deep breathing, we know, relaxes the muscles, decreases pain, and helps things flow smoother. We want to release any body tension. We want to fully surrender to this part of labor. I know I'm not giving a birth class, but like medically speaking, technically speaking, early labor is like 0 to 3 centimeters. You're still going about your normal day. Active labor is 4 centimeters on. This is usually like, if you're familiar with like the hospital 411 rule, that's where you're having, minute long contractions at least 4 minutes apart for at least an hour. That's the 411. Active labor is when you are going to your place of birthing. Usually you're heading out for your hospital or your birth center or your birth team's coming over. So this is like what we call true labor, okay? You also in this phase of labor want to get into the most comfortable positions. If you're laboring naturally, you're going to feel what feels good. Oh, standing feels good. Oh, sitting on hands and knees feels good. Oh, leaning on my birth ball feels good. You're going to assume the most comfortable position so that you can release the most body tension and you can utilize that deep breathing and keep your muscles supple, soft, and open. Energetically, in this part of labor, you're going more inward, inward and inward, less focused on the surroundings, right? You're really focusing during your contractions. Between contractions, you can come back. You can be back on earth. You can laugh. You can talk. You can have a good time. But when that wave comes, you're focusing, you're breathing, you're surrendering. And so, my go tos for this part of labor for encouraging consistent uterine contractions are ylang ylang, geranium, clary sage, uh, Slorescence, which is a blend that Young Living has that actually has several of those already in there. Um, Lavender, which again is not going to slow anything down. It's not going to stop active labor. It is just going to help calm you. Peppermint oil, absolutely love peppermint oil. So one of my favorite ways to use this, the obvious is for nausea, right? Definitely common, definitely normal to get nausea in labor, even more so in transition. You've got an influx of hormones going on. Sometimes people throw up. That's not a bad thing. That's a sign of transition, honestly. It's making room for baby. Sometimes the act of throwing up actually pushes the baby down, but I'll just hold a peppermint bottle straight to mom's nose. Your sense of smell is heightened in labor. And so maybe peppermint feels extra strong. And so the way I can use that is on a cotton ball. That way we can wave it in front of her nose. And then if she needs a break, pull it away. If you love the smell of any of these in active labor, have them in a diffuser. Have them going the whole time. I love mixing ylang ylang, clary sage, joy, and peppermint together. It's a wonderful combo. One of my favorite oils. Oh, wait, let me mention one more thing about peppermint. Peppermint also gives energy, pep in your step. Peppermint for opening your urethra. So what happens sometimes in labor and active labor is as the baby is descending down, if mom is not emptying her bladder often enough, and hopefully you are hydrating with like mineral water and peeing often, every 5-10 minutes even sometimes. If a mom is having a hard time emptying her bladder, sometimes that's because baby's head has descended quickly and is literally like plugging and blocking off that bladder from being able to empty. In a hospital, they might offer you like a catheter and do something like that because you really need to empty your bladder. If your bladder is full in labor, it causes more pain, causes your contractions to come more consistently, and it's very uncomfortable. What I do is a drop of peppermint oil in the toilet, and you just sit on top of it like you're going pee, not on the peppermint, but on the toilet, and it opens the urethra naturally. It's amazing. One of my favorite oils for active labor is this one that I'm holding up to my sweet friend Abby right here, and this is release oil. Release oil is, think literal emotional release. And so sometimes in labor, the name of the game again, productivity. We don't want any blocks. We know fear can be a block in labor. We know if a mom is anxious or worried at any point, labor is going to be affected, is going to slow down. And it might leave you wondering, like, I don't even know what I need to release. I don't even know what I'm scared of. I don't know what I'm feeling. Release oil actually brings it to mind. And I have used this so effectively so many times. And maybe I just use it precautionally. Like I don't even think that a mom is really worried with fear, but we're in hot and heavy labor and I want to just keep that going. Every time I use release, there's tears. Somebody is crying. It's an immediate emotional response. I've had really cool, I'll just share like a couple stories, but I've used release oil before and just like this, holding it up to a mom's nose. And all of a sudden she starts crying and starts admitting fears that she didn't even really know that she was still dealing with, or maybe hadn't verbally processed it or talked it out loud. I've had a mom literally say, I'm afraid of pushing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's why we're not pushing yet, because we should have been there by now. And so now, because she was able to speak it out loud, it doesn't really hold power over her anymore. There's really a power in releasing these emotions. She released it. I'm afraid of pushing. We talked it through. Okay, well, you know what? We're going to help you gently push. You're not going to push till your body's ready. Your body knows how to push. We're going to help you get into a position and help your baby's going to help stretch you and logically help walk her through why pushing is not scary, but actually wonderful. Pushing means you get to hold your baby. Pushing means you're done with labor, and get her to a place of just full surrender. I've had a mom inhale release oil and say, I'm afraid of having another baby. I'm worried. I have 5 other kids. I don't know if I can have this sixth baby. How am I going to do all this? And having like a come to Jesus therapy session in the middle of labor where we're encouraging her, no, God created you to do this. He chose this baby for you. There's nothing you can't handle. You have a wonderful husband. You have a wonderful support team, and just talking through it with her. But it's amazing that these women, like, sometimes using release, don't even know that they're dealing with fear until it's spoken out loud. And once that happens, their body is able to kickstart into the next phase, whether that's pushing or transition or whatever it may be. So that is like a beautiful oil to have on hand. It smells so good. I use it all the time. I use it with my kids when I feel like they're extra whiny and they need some emotional connection. I'm not quite sure what's going on. So great one to have. Last one here for active labor is an oil called Deep Relief. I actually like this in the roller bottle form. And this is wonderful if you're having any hip issues or lower back issues or back pain in labor. It's kind of got like an icy hot sensation. So I'll just rub it right on her hips, do some little gentle massaging, and it can really just be a wonderful pain management in labor. It's super gentle. Transition. This is me and my with my son Koa, and you can see my little sister's holding peppermint up to my nose. That is like my go-to in transition. I have a few go-tos for this, but basically in this phase of labor, everything as you know it changes. Everything that was working before is not working now. Oh, I loved when my birth team was surrounding me. Now I want to be alone. Oh, I loved being touched. Now I don't want to be touched. Or maybe it's the opposite. Now it's like, oh, all hands on deck. I need the affirmations. I need you to tell me I can do this. I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed with the intensity of this part of labor. Maybe you're feeling nauseous. Maybe you're hot. Maybe you're cold. But there's a lot going on here. And as a doula, I'm trained to recognize transition and to encourage a mom of where she's at. You're at the finish line. This is what you wanted. This is what you worked so hard for. It's so good to be here. Like you're going to meet your baby before you know it. So in this phase of labor, productive contractions are usually longer and closer together, and you're getting much closer to meeting your baby. So my go-tos for this phase are Valor. Valor is amazing, y'all, for boosting confidence and courage. We've seen brain mapping studies where someone inhales the blend of Valor, and it's literally the part of their brain where self-esteem is. So when you hear a mom, or if you are saying things like, I don't know if I can do this anymore, like this is too much, or I don't want to do this anymore. That's when I whip out Valor. and put it right on their chest, put it under their nose, put it on my own hand, hold it up to them, and just affirmations. You can do this. You were born to do this. You are going to meet your baby soon. There's nothing you can't handle. Your only job here is to release and to surrender and to let go. Don't fight this, and just pair the oil with the affirmations. You can read Bible verses here, or if you have your Christian hypnobirthing app, which I'm a huge fan of, you're smelling and you're listening, right? So it's like building your faith and you're reading, reaching that limbic system, that emotional center of your brain, and you're having like a mind body experience with this. I also, like I said, love peppermint in transition for nausea. I love helichrysum. Helichrysum is a pricey oil. If you look that one up, it's like 70 or $80. I use 1 to 2 drops at a birth at a time. I also have this in my first aid for my family. I call it liquid stitches. I use it for bleeding or to prevent bleeding. And so when a mom is in her pushing phase, I put it right on the bottom of the feet and the big toe. If she's in the tub, I try and put it on her lower back if I can, or just immediately postpartum after having a baby. Helichrysum goes right on the belly and the feet. I also love the oil Trauma Life, which has helichrysum in it, but that is a great one for processing deep emotions, or maybe if there's a postpartum experience where you're just struggling with how your birth went, or unprocessed birth experiences from the past, and maybe it's coming up to you again in this labor, and you're trying to stay in a positive mindset. Trauma Life is incredible. Other oils that I love during transition are joy and surrender. For both, I don't even think they need explanation. Joy and surrender. I diffuse joy. I diffuse it with peppermint and I diffuse it with clary sage. I think that's a really great labor combo. Surrender, I actually put a roller bottle on that one, and that one I'll either roll it right on mom's upper lip, or on her earlobes, or on her big toes. And again, I can rub it on her hands and ask her to make a sentence, and sometimes even say like affirmations with me, like, I surrender to this process. I'm not fighting this. I want to meet my baby. I relax and let go. I soften. I open. Surrender is an amazing one if there's anything you feel like you're holding back in this labor. Any, again, fear, you can pair surrender and release together. Or if you're just having a hard time getting into that next phase of labor for whatever reason, surrender is great for that. Dragon time. Dragon time is one I use immediately postpartum. And I use that for postpartum cramping and helping the uterus clamp down and contract and do what it needs to do. Real quick, I know I was just talking oils, but I had to add in like a nutritional slide because this is really important. But in addition to just good old-fashioned honey, which is what is being squirted right directly from the bottle into this mom's mouth, honey is amazing for the pushing phase of labor when a mom just needs a little boost. I keep Young Living's Ningxia Red and Ningxia Nitro packets in my doula bag, both of those. These are going to provide quick energy, a bit of protein, and antioxidants. So for mamas who are in hot and heavy labor and maybe not wanting any food or unable to keep food down, these liquids are going to stabilize blood sugars. They're going to aid in hydration. I also love to make a labor aid. So if you are getting close to your due date, you can start making this now. You can freeze it, or you can just make it and drink it. You want to have it about 24 hours fresh, though, for labor. So in early labor, it's a great time to make it. If you're in Joy Within Birth, I have some recipes for you, but basically I do coconut water. I do, you can do a little bit of orange juice. I do Ningxia Red. I do mineral essence for the minerals. I do Rescue Remedy tincture, honey, lemon juice, lime juice. You can play around with it, maybe experiment and see what you really love. But this is really great hydration, kind of a natural alternative to an IV type of thing. But then immediate postpartum, you want to have that on hand as well so that you can have all the hydration you need for breastfeeding. All right, I think this is my last slide. So this is just immediate postpartum. Again, real life action shot pick here. This is me anointing and praying over my friend and her baby, not even 30 minutes after giving birth. We were anointing her baby with frankincense and myrrh. We did crown of head, belly button, bottom of the feet. You can dilute if you want to, but both of those are extremely gentle. Remember, given to baby Jesus. So gentle and just soothing for the skin. So for postpartum healing and bonding, I recommend diffusing right away, day one, within 24 hours, joy oil and gentle baby's oil. to help combat those baby blues, to help reach that part of the brain with our feel good endorphins, our serotonin, our dopamine, and to really set ourselves up for success. Hi, guys, I'm almost done with my class. I got two little birdies just that walked in. My other go-tos for postpartum are Progestins Plus, which is a serum made from wild yams, which is going to help your body maintain progesterone. Remember, after birth, you have a huge hormone drop off. And a lot of the reason why people experience postpartum depression is because they're hormonally depleted. There's a lot of other psychological reasons and factors going on, but Progestins Plus is a game changer. And I use it day one postpartum on. Frankincense, I mentioned, myrrh, I mentioned, very gentle on the skin, very soothing on the skin. Myrrh, I put around the belly button to help that cord dry and the cord stump fall off and to prevent any infection. I mentioned gentle babies for bonding, dragon time for postpartum cramping. And then, if you didn't know, Young Living has a whole lineup of pre-diluted oils for babies and kids called Kid Sense. It's a Kid Sense line. And theirs are pretty self-explanatory. It's tummy dries, sleepy eyes, owie. So take a look at those as well. I didn't include a QR code for looking at these or buying these. Please reach out to me if you want. I can give you a labor kit link or a pregnancy kit link or a baby's postpartum breastfeeding link. I'm happy to answer any questions. I know that was a lot too. And what's crazy is Young Living has over 400 products, and I believe over 280 of those are oils. So I tried to pull like top 10 for you, make it not overwhelming. Again, you don't need all the ones I mentioned, especially when it comes to the emotional ones. There might be a couple that sound like, oh, stress away. That's a good fit for me. That sounds like one I could use. Joy. That's one I could use. Think of ones that you would use now in pregnancy and postpartum. I don't want you to just get a bunch of oils for labor, use 10 drops in your entirety of labor and never touch them again. These are going to be for life. These are going to be for mothering. And so grab the ones that feel like a good fit for you. Or if you have questions and want me to help you choose, I'm happy to do that. But now that I have a little bit of distraction, I'm gonna stop it here. And I don't know if anyone has questions. Priscilla, if you have any questions, this is a perfect time to ask. If not, I did record and I'm gonna share that. Um, so yeah, just let me know. Any questions, Emerson? Hello? Any questions?
Thank you, Haley. It's really informative.
You're so welcome. I'm so glad you came. All right. Well, y'all, thank you so much for listening, and thank you if you are taking the time to listen to this recording. I hope this was helpful. This is my friend Priscilla. You'll have a great
Bye.
rest of your day.
Y'all too.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye.